You have email. The message reads as follows: please do not ignore this warning. An ancient text called Veritas, stored within the Vatican for thousands of years, has been translated and warns that we are all in a computer simulation, a bit like The Matrix but on a BBC budget. This is not a crazy conspiracy theory. We must act now. This is of vital importance to us all. Message sent to trash.
Hello, welcome to Time Ram. This is the show where we do not know what it is already. I mean, we've done loads and loads of episodes. Look, if you want to know what it's about, go back to episode 1. That explains everything nicely because we cared then, right? But now we're mashing up well. Should I introduce people first? I'll do that first. Hello. Right, so I have with me tonight, as usual, Mr. Barry Williams.
Hello.
And Mr. Paul Ferry.
Hello.
Paul, is that a half wig like William Hartnell's?
No, it's a full wig.
It's a full wig. There you go.
It's not any kind of wig.
What you can't see, listener, is that Paul's hair over the years has become kind of like William Hartnell's there. It's just because you're backlit at the moment. It's really striking. It's like those publicity shots from the Red
further
Planet.
to the side. You just won't see it at all if I move.
No, that's just glaring.
Sorry, this just works not at all on audio.
But where you are, I'll try to describe it.
Great audio content, yeah.
Yeah. Paul Ferry is sitting there looking slightly like William Hartnell in those shots from the Web Planet where he's got his hair all illuminated from behind. If he had a monocle and also a face like William Hartnell, then it would be spot on. And we're dressed like William Hartnell and on Vortis, none of which are true.
What you need is a jolly good smack bottom.
We had a review on Apple Podcasts from a listener in the United States. Thank you, listener. It's headed very funny and creative. Ooh. 5 stars. And it says, if you love Doctor Who half as much as these guys do, you'll love this podcast and probably end up playing the game yourself. Colin Baker in Heaven Sent, anyone? It's like, actually, yeah.
The game? Oh, the public interactivity side. Never thought of it like that.
So, Colin Baker in Heaven Sent. Well, he'd probably sort of shout that creature and chase it off, but I don't want to keep following him. So, thank you, listener. Most appreciated.
Yes, thank you, listener. I think Heaven Sent, though, would be better with Hartnell kind of hitting that diamond wall with his stick again and again for centuries.
That's one fuck of a bird.
We can't promise to read out every review we get, but
except the diamond. Except the trouble is the diamond wall's going to be like the walls in the Keys of Marinus and the ice set. It's going to be kind of like cellophane. With some vac form plastic behind it, and Ray Cusick's going to be wincing every time Hartnell whacks it and half of it falls down.
There's a problem, isn't it? Yeah, at any point up to the 80s, a wall is just going to wobble unconvincingly.
No, don't give me up to the 80s. Go and look at Dragonfire and weep.
Yeah. Ray Cusick will be asking
up to and including.
Hartnell.
That's kind of what I meant. Yeah.
Oh right, okay, right, yeah.
Ray Cusick would be asking them to ask Hartnell not to hit it as hard, which would just made him hit it harder.
He'd just demolish it, just take the entire set down and then go for the sound guy as well. Just kind of bend your boom, you bastard. Because that was William Hartnell, apparently. Sorry, any members of William Hartnell's family or anyone who knew him and worked with him. We're just laughing and faffing and we're not saying William Hartnell went around assaulting boom operators.
Yes.
Or breaking sets. He liked sets. He liked Ray Cusick's handles.
Ray Cusick have handles.
Ray Cusick told a story. Ray Cusick told a story in an interview once where, as an example of Hartnell's genuine oddness, sometimes Hartnell sort of summoned him over, and Cusick thought, "Oh God, what is it?" And he pointed at a handle on a door, and he said, "That's excellent. It's a very good handle." That, and went off. And Ray Cusick kind of was going, "What?"
His love handled.
There's a Dalek over there. Have you seen them? They're fantastic. But yeah. Go figure. With you, Martin.
Yes. And handles.
How about time ram?
Time ram? You couldn't do it in that old crock.
Wolf. Time ram. Londoners.
So anyway, what we're doing tonight is extraordinarily enough Extremis.
Extremis.
Yeah, and Extremis is a little bit problematic for us because it's part of a series of episodes.
That's never stopped us in the past.
That's never stopped us in the past. That's no.
No.
And that's a start. And that's a start. Like, go on, one of you tell us who we're doing Extremis with. Well, Paul just gave it away, really.
With a terrible impression. Yes.
With a terrible impression and a dreadful lisp. Yes.
Jon Pertwee, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Which is also problematic, isn't it? Because a lot of stuff happens in Extremis that isn't going to be happening between 1970 and 1974.
No.
Namely, the companions' predilections
Well, yes.
are going to be different. However, there's ways around everything now. I made a note in my notebook that this is a new notebook. It's got it is Pertwee, yeah. So shall I put my theory out as to which story we're going to replace?
Go on, yeah.
Unless anyone else has a theory, yeah, go on.
We replace Carnival of Monsters. One, you've got the whole this isn't a real world type thing that happens in it. Miniscope, obviously. Two, Nardo, right? When I was watching it.
Nardo.
When I was watching it, I was looking at Nardo and going...
Oh, yeah, I was looking at Nardo.
Good. Stop looking at Nardo. Not like that, Baz. He looks at Nardo, listen. You shouldn't look at Nardo quite so hard.
Break him.
And I thought, I know exactly who's with this part, because he's wandering around, being kind of short and amusing and clever and brilliant. And I thought, well, that's Patrick Troughton, isn't it? That's the second Doctor. So Carnival of Monsters, we're in the anniversary season, right?
Okay.
So we'll have the second Doctor turning up in it, in the Nardo role.
Wow, we're really mixing this shit up in the last few episodes.
We are indeed, as Paul said.
We're throwing caution to the wind here. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank God we're not throwing shit to the wind and mixing the caution. Otherwise, we'll just get a cauldron of caution and a really bad smell. So, chaps, what say you to my suit?
Wow.
I know.
It's radical.
It is radical. Yeah.
And not in the 80s sense of being like.
I mean,
radical.
if you can make it work.
This is a fairly radical story. Well, we're going to have to put something in it. We haven't got any. The trouble with Pertwee, one of the troubles with Pertwee is there are only two-parters.
Yes.
Which would be really helpful when adapting a 45-minute modern-day episode. However, so the shortest we've got is 4 parts.
4 parts,
Yeah. And there's not a huge amount of plot to spread around. Yeah, that's got to be said.
Which is why we need Patrick Troughton. For a start, because there's not an awful lot of plot in the 3 Doctors either, but no one cares because Patrick Troughton.
So you're suggesting Troughton sort of sticks around for a few extra episodes?
Well, maybe.
Or at least.
Yes. Or he could turn out to be like Nardo. He could turn out to be a fake Troughton. Fountain, kind of going, oh dear, we're not real, and all that sort of bit.
Spoilers.
Well, yeah.
Go ahead, time ram.
Okay, so shall I go through some plot?
Go through some plot.
It's a bit difficult because the episode as it stands starts with previously on, and then it turns out the Doctor is blind.
Yeah.
Oh.
And he hasn't told his companion, well, Joe, presumably in this case.
I thought about this. So we've got all these flashbacks to the Master being executed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Coming up imminently.
Yeah.
And that put me in mind, for some reason, I thought of the beginning of the Time Monster, where the Doctor's having all these weird-ass dreams about the Master kind of going, welcome, and crotch shots and lightning, and, it's very, very frightening, particularly the crotch shots.
Yes.
And I thought, well, how about we do something like that? There's the execution of the Master at the very beginning of it, because that's going to happen in 73, but work with it. It's the anniversary season. They are pushing the boat out, Maybe this is Bob Baker and Dave Martin. I don't know. No, it's got to be Robert Holmes, hasn't it? He's capable of this. He's more than capable of this.
I had a different take on it, which was that the whole flashback thing isn't something that I can't imagine them doing that in the 70s. It was much more of a straightforward adventure serial.
Yeah.
So I was thinking you would probably start episode 1 in the unit lab. The Doctor's working the TARDIS. Joe comes in. They have a bit of banter, She's like, you'll never get that working. And he's like, just watch me. And then he goes into the TARDIS and it disappears. He's been hijacked. Joe is aghast. But then the Doctor comes out, he's on this planet, the planet of the Executioners, and that's how we start. So we start on that planet with him being led to execute the Master, presumably Roger Delgado. And then we kind of cover that plot line perhaps over the course of an episode.
These can work together. Okay. Well, I certainly thought we're not going to be going back and forth to this execution. This is all going to be done linear.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So therefore, we kind of have to start with that. So I've got no
Yeah.
problem. We need filler for a start here.
Yeah.
I've got no problem with starting in the lab and the hijacking of the TARDIS. This is like the Newtons, isn't it? This is the Time Lords doing it again. You think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he's like sort of offering to help the master and saying, "Help, I'll get you away." And he thinks the master's kind of is really with this. And then at the last minute, the master goes, "Ha ha! Here's acid in your face. You're blind now. I'm off."
Well, I was thinking the blindness. That's the end of episode 1, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
However, it happens, which is leaping ahead considerably.
Well, if it is the second Doctor, that kind of solves a slight problem for us because Nardole turns up during the execution.
Thank God. I was thinking when the second Doctor turning up going, here's acid in your face. Oh, dear.
Taking the second, third Doctor banter to the next level there.
Indeed, yeah.
With actual physical harm.
Absolutely, yeah. Very, very unexpected physical harm for that time on a Saturday evening, just for the Generation Game. You've been affected by any of the issues raised in this program. Watch the Generation Game next, which has got beauty in it.
Ah, dear.
Yeah, okay, good. Well, that's falling into place, isn't it?
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. So the Doctor's on this planet then. He's met these guys at Executioners. They go through quite this complex way they're going to execute this person. In the actual episode, you're led to believe it might be the Doctor that's getting executed, but then the Master comes in, and it's
I think this guy's Peter Halliday, since we've got him for Pletrak.
Oh
anyway.
God,
I think he's dressed as Pletrak. I think he's got the bald cap and everything, and I think I think the executioners are Pletrak, Orem, and Karlik.
I don't think it would be on location either.
This is CSO and it's horrible.
It'd be something. I'm imagining something like the Vortex from the Adventure Game.
I'm imagining it looks a bit like Carnival of Monsters. I think it's a dreadful CSO background planet. Meant to be in the middle of nowhere with a caption slide of a quarry behind it or something like that.
Yeah. Obvious set, but
obvious set because Barry Letts is directing, so everything we can is going to be CSO. He was doing this way before George Lucas,
and worse.
Yeah.
The priest arrives and the Doctor goes to talk to him, and it's Patrick Troughton, second Doctor maybe.
Right.
Oh dear.
In the actual episode, it's Nardole with River's diary.
Well, he hasn't got River's diary. He's got.
His recorder.
Yeah. And he does this reading, which becomes quite significant over the course of Series 10, where he says, true virtue can only be found in extremis.
Hey, look, Series 10. Hey.
Yeah.
Without hope, without witness, without reward.
When to Rastalon's Tower would go, must choose above the two below.
I kind of missed Doctor Who being clever. I watched this again and thought, wow, this is so clever.
Yeah. It will be again.
That wasn't to everyone's taste, I guess, but I kind of miss it.
Yeah.
They carry out the execution. They go ahead with it.
We go ahead with it. They go ahead with the execution. The Doctor tries to intervene to save the Master. It's like in Mordred and Dead with the two Brigadiers touch. He kind of sticks his hand in and there's a big zap and he's blind dead.
Yeah.
I think we don't see who the monk is. I think we don't see it's Patrick Troughton yet.
Okay.
I think we'll keep that reveal because that's a reveal kind of like 2/3 of the way. It's just an odd place to go. Wow, guest star. I know that's exactly what they do in the Three Doctors, to be honest, but it's kind of structured for that.
Are we cutting back and forth to unit at this point? We're still catching up with what Joe and the Brigadier are getting up to.
Oh, I see. I thought Joe had gone with them. Right.
My assumption is that he went in the TARDIS and disappeared. He's just,
In that case, we are.
That'd be list 3 styly.
In that case, we'll totally be going, so all of units assemble. They're all in there. Benton and Yates and Brigg. All of unit. Maybe even...
Osgood.
Corporal Bell may have turned up at the back.
Yeah.
And they're all going, "Où est le docteur?"
Captain Hart's come across from the sea base,
Yeah. I was going to say Paul Darrow's standing around as well, but he got killed in the Silurian, so he's not there unless it's a zombie. Which gives texture to the story, doesn't it? It's quite Robert Holmes. Attack of the Dead unit captain.
What about Jimmy? What happened to Jimmy?
He got married to Isabel and stayed at home because you would.
Yeah.
And Monroe. Where's Monroe?
Monroe, did he get shot? No, he didn't. No, well,
he's all right.
He cohabits with them. They've got things going on. They form their own unit.
So what are they doing? Are they just worrying about the Doctor, or is there something else happening to them?
No, they're getting the feather boa out and all sorts of... Oh, right, sorry. Yeah, they're worrying about the Doctor.
Yeah.
Oh, please be quiet.
they go to execute the master. Master not dead.
Mhm.
Master okay. And the Doctor pledges to stay by his side for 1,000 years.
So is the Master okay because the Doctor intervened and lost his sight?
Maybe.
Is that the end of the episode?
Doesn't seem like there's much in this episode.
There's loads. It's just guys, Patrick Troughton.
Okay, yeah. Uh-huh.
There's my entire opening scene and then your entire opening scene. So we've got 2 openings to it.
Uh-huh.
You don't get that with every episode.
Uh-huh.
There's plenty of scenes of people making coffee at unit and going, oh, the threat.
I can imagine the Doctor saying he's got to stay by the Master's side for 1,000 years, and Delgado doing one of those eye-rolling things that he does.
Yeah.
Like after the clangers bit in the Sea Devils, where he just kind of rolls his eyes and thinks, idiot.
Or maybe he really takes the piss like he does in front of Kronos and kind of gets down on his knees and goes, no, please, anything but that, kill me.
Perhaps in the modern day world, the Pope could turn up, or at least the Pope's representative maybe can call the Brigadier.
Right.
Just so there's something happening to them.
Nice. I like that. Yeah, no, that's good. They get called by the Pope.
Are we having the Pope? I thought
Gotta have the Pope.
I remember we mentioned the Dalai Lama because it's very lit, very lit.
It's not as funny with the Dalai Lama though.
Well, I was thinking how to justify the Pope scene. And I was thinking, right, well, this is episode. Are you in episode 2 yet?
Not
Can
quite,
we be in
I think.
episode 2?
If you want, yeah.
Thanks. So the losing the sight was the cliffhanger, right?
Yeah, okay, yeah. And then what happens? Does the Master bring him back?
I don't know. The Master takes him back to the TARDIS.
Or the priest. There's a priest there, isn't there? Mysterious priest.
The mysterious priest takes him back to the TARDIS and locks the Master in the TARDIS, in Anne Vault.
And then reveals that he is Troughton.
Then reveals that he's Troughton. Well, there's the end of the episode, maybe.
Yeah.
And Pertwee, when you start at the beginning of episode 2, is going, what? Have you taken your hood off? I'm blind. What's going on? I don't know what's going on. Your revelation means nothing to me.
It's me. Who?
Etc. So Pertwee's got his nutty shades on now.
I'd be loving that.
No, he'll be hating it because he won't be able to read the script off it to the console. So Pertwee's not going to be happy at all.
Yeah.
Troughton's loving it. And so episode 2, they head back to Earth? Do they head back to Unit HQ?
Guess they'd have to, yeah.
With the Master on board? Do they stick the Master in a unit vault at this point then?
That's a unit cell. Perhaps more like
I think an eternal unit vault that is going to be there through the entire history of Doctor Who, just for whenever we do another connected episode of this season. Hear me, Byra. But that's a good place for the Master to be.
Yeah, maybe we don't see the Master for a couple of seasons at this point.
Yeah,
for sad reasons, unfortunately. But yeah,
indeed.
Maybe we can.
But who knows?
Suggest that he's still in this vault all that time.
What happens if we get an Anthony Ainley story? What happens if we get Survival in 1976? Does that mean it's going to be played by Peter Pratt in Skull?
Yeah,
because that'd be great.
Yeah,
Peter Pratt Skullmaster kind of going, look at my kitties. It'll be proper Gronk and all that. That'd be vastly better. Instantly that Survival is going to be better. Oh, I hope I get that.
If the immediate sequel to this turns up to be in like the Matt Smith era or something, you just have somebody from Unit going up to him going, you remember when we looked the Master in that? Shit, is he still there? Should we check on him?
They open the door and the Master's like, 400 years.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so the Doctor's blind. He's going to be spending a large chunk of time coming up with a solution for that, maybe lying to Jo, trying to convince her he's all right, and then obviously the specs, the email specs, the shades come into use.
Yeah, it's going to be like techno bollocks, isn't it? It's not going to be anything real world.
Yeah.
So he's got some device anyway which helps him to find his way around, and then some bishops turn up.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. Our chief weapon is surprise. Surprise and fear. Fear and surprise. Our 2 weapons are fear and surprise and ruthless efficiency. Our 3 weapons are fear and surprise and ruthless efficiency and an almost fanatical devotion to the Pope. Our 4, no. Amongst our weapons are such elements as fear. I'll come in again.
I'm picturing the Spanish Inquisition.
So was I when I was watching it, to be fair.
Yeah. It's probably the idea.
You're waiting for them to offer him the soft cushions,
Can they be played by Michael Palin?
And Terry Jones.
And Terry Jones. I think Terry Gilliam's the other one, isn't he?
Yeah.
In a kind of non-speaking part.
Yeah. Nobody expects the Vatican. And then the Pope turns up, presumably played by John Cleese.
Look, I'm the bloody Pope, I am!
Oh, it would have to be, wouldn't it?
I think the setup for this bit is that you finally got Mike and Joe alone. They're sitting in the lab. Everyone's gone off to do something, and Mike's thinking, "Oh, this is finally my chance to organise a date with Joe Grant." And he's he's made some cocoa on the Bunsen burner, and everything's getting a bit romantic. And he's talking about his Catholic background and how he's decided to renounce it in favour of Buddhism and all that sort of thing. And then suddenly the Pope comes in, and that just completely ruins the mood, and Mike thinks date is spoiled forever.
He starts kissing the cross. He's like, "All right, that's it. I'm done."
Yeah, and that's what starts triggering his collapse, an eventual betrayal of everything, because he just gets so fucked up. He's just kind of walking the corridors of youth now, and going fuck, everything's lied to me. Fuck the Brigadier. Oh, to hell with this. He turned to a force for bad,
like you do.
Yeah.
So they managed to contact the doctor. They get him out. The priest guy. Wait, do we know it's the second doctor now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So the second doctor persuades him to talk to this guy. And Jon Pertwee's like, "Who is he? What, the Pope?" So, yes, actually.
Are we going with John Cleese then for that? That's great.
Well, yeah. Why not? I was just saying John Cleese because from Monty Python Live, he goes, "I'm the bloody Pope."
I don't think it's likely. Popes are old in those days.
Yeah.
Popes are old in these days. I think it's more likely going to be someone like George Cormack, or it's not going to be Helen. I'm leaving Helen out of this one. Helen's exhausted. Poor Helen.
She can just be one of the cardinals in the background wearing a moustache.
So yeah, the cardinal is called Angelo, and he explains that they've got a text called Veritas, which basically they're going about this at length, but anyone who translates this text commits suicide, and it hasn't been translated for quite a number of years. But then they translated it again, and all the translators committed suicide.
Are they going to talk about suicide? Is it going to be couched in terms?
Very
I think
subtly,
we're more likely just that they died. Anybody who's read it has died.
They've died.
Leave it at that.
They die. Yeah, just die. Yeah. Can the cardinal, who's called Angelo, be played by Angelo Muscat?
Yeah.
Because I love Angelo Muscat doing important scenes with Jon Pertwee, because that's just great, height difference wise.
Yeah. How would they get in a one camera shot? Yeah.
This is Barry Letts.
The fact they commit suicide is kind of significant, isn't it? Because we learn later on there's a reason behind it. But,
it is. But well. Hey, if it wouldn't be called suicide if they took their own lives or something like that. I don't know. I can't think of any other examples in contemporary Who of that time. There may be. I don't think it's beyond the bounds of possibility, but it was something that it's something. This is the Marionette era as well. Philip Hinchcliffe might do it.
The earliest of anything like that I can think of is Image of the Fendal. I can't think of anything before, any instance before that of anybody taking their life. In Doctor Who, their own life.
Yes.
I might be wrong.
There's people giving up their lives for noble causes. As you say, that's got story relevance. So let's see.
Daleks, where that guy cuts through the rope. So Antidus, you can basically commit suicide. Yeah, to save the race. Except in the film version, where it turns out they could have saved him. So
that's self-sacrifice rather than suicide.
But technically, he's ending his own life.
This is very deep.
That's the exciting thing. Nobody in the universe can do what we're doing.
Death, suicide, all that fun stuff. In 1973, at 5 o'clock on a Saturday evening.
Patrick Troughton.
With Patrick Troughton. What's Patrick up to? Is he doing much? What's he about?
Well, nowadays, not a lot, no.
God, no, in this story.
The genuine exhaustion in that.
Just can't be bothered with your shit to it.
So, what's he doing? Well, I don't know what he's doing. What is he doing at this point? What's going on? Where are we at? The Pope's just ruined.
We're in episode 2. We're probably a fair way through episode 2. We've established the Doctor's blind.
Yeah.
Bloody Pope's turned up.
Yeah.
Bloody Pope.
And he wants them to go to the Vatican to read this book.
Which Angelo Muscat's telling them everyone commits suicide. Good.
And the Doctor's like, yeah, sure, I can read a book.
That's a scary scene, that. Blind Pertwee with his shades on being told by Angelo Muscat that everyone who reads this text... This is like Twin Peaks 1973.
Yeah. It really is, yeah.
Pertwee's just like staring right over his head because he doesn't realise he's down there.
Right over his head, yeah. And that's where the cue card is anyway, so yeah.
Is there a reason why Doctor 2 can't read the text? This is because
he's no fool. He doesn't want to die.
He can only read Old High Gallifreyan.
Oh, because it's a piece of McCoy-esque pre-whatnotting by Troughton. He knew he pushed Pertwee into being there at the Master's execution because he knew he had to be struck blind so he could read this text.
Yeah.
Right.
And he didn't want to do it to himself because the second Doctor's basically a coward. He'd kind of be standing there just blatantly going, well, I'd rather happen to you than me, old chap.
Oh, my giddy aunt.
And all that sort of thing. So, yeah, that's why. Good.
So they visit the Vatican. There's no way around this. They visit the Vatican. Would the Pope bring the book with him? I don't know. Maybe he would. But yeah, they visit this secret archive in the Vatican.
Yeah.
It's the archive of heretical texts.
Yeah.
The original version, the Doctor goes there with Nardole and Bill and Angelo.
Great.
Yeah. And the Doctor's still not admitting that he's blind.
I think he has now. I think in this version, why would he keep it from anyone?
Why does he keep it? Why does he keep it a secret?
Why does he keep it from anyone? Yeah. So
I think, the excuse in the original episode, he doesn't want his enemies to know about it because they would, I don't know, destroy the Earth.
Yeah, but that's very much a new series Doctor thing. That's
really
kind of my enemies. Oh, I'm mysterious and there are many out there, and I'm 1,000 years old and shit. Pertwee ain't going to be doing that. Pertwee's just and it gives some quite nice touching stuff with Joe kind of leading him around and looking after him a bit and then going, oh, stop fussing, Joe. Her fussing anyway. Which would be quite good. They both played out well, I think.
What year was the Borgias made by the BBC?
1980, I think.
Oh, right. I was thinking if they had sets left over from something that they could use for the Vatican.
Yeah.
Look, they'll have that. I mean, the Vatican will probably look quite nice because it's the BBC will have Vatican. But undoubtedly, Barry Letts will want to extend it with shots of the real Vatican. The roof is CSO.
I mean, it is the sort of thing the BBC could probably set dress that quite well, couldn't they?
And the costumes will look good. Everyone will look very sumptuous.
It'd be like one room, but it'd be all right.
Yeah.
So they enter this library, and a light appears, and it's basically a portal, but it appears on the wall, big oval light, and it disappears again.
End of episode 2?
Quite possibly.
Maybe they get dragged towards it. It's very like the end of episode 5 of the Mutants, is it, where the wall gets blown out and Varan goes flying off into CSO space. You could have someone with Angelo. Angelo, because he's only tiny, is little Angelo Muscat.
Angelo gets sucked into the wall, certainly.
Well, he's getting dragged towards it, and Pertwee's hanging on to him, and Joe's hanging on to Pertwee. And there's your end of episode 2.
Yeah, and then the ball, it disappears again.
Yeah.
And Angelo Muscat is saved.
Yeah, well, for now. He's still looking at the wall, which is perhaps a bit silly. But then, the Doctor goes on without him to have a look at this book. There's a priest in the book cage. The book is in a massive cage, and there's a priest in there. I think it's called Piero or something. And he's done the translation. And he says that he sent it, which isn't immediately explained. And then he runs away. And then they hear a gunshot. So it's while this is going on, presumably Joe and Second Doctor are with him at this point, and Angelo is still tapping away at this wall. And then he gets kind of sucked through it. Or rather, a hand comes out. So it's kind of...
if it stayed on, become a companion, that'd be great. I can totally see Angelo Muscat in the Third Doctor.
And this is where, again, this gets problematic. It transpires that this priest has emailed the Veritas to the world.
Radio broadcast, television, mind mail.
Maybe he's faxed it. There's a fax machine there just churning away.
He's got a Roneo. He's got a guy with a hand that is printing out. Honestly, I'm printing a lot of them out though. Everyone's gonna get one of these. No, I can afford the stamps.
Stop the post. Hundreds of copies of this going out all over the place.
You can't guarantee it. Yes, I can. This is the Royal Mail. There'll be something like that in,
Joe says it could go all over the world, Doctor. Don't be silly, Joe. This is Italy. They don't have a decent postal service.
That'll be the Briggs line, actually. Oh, there's no need to worry, Nowhere else can get anything delivered.
Actually, what you could have with it being, in the middle of the Vatican is you could have this kind of thing of him basically handing off hundreds of copies to sort of hundreds of clergymen who disappear dutifully off to different parts of the world with copies of it.
What's wrong with it being a telephone call?
It's the entire book. I mean, how long has he got?
It's like the general. Everyone in the world gets called at the same time on their telephonic device, and it's like, and they all go blimey and commit suicide.
Right. Maybe there's a big computer somewhere, a big sinister computer somewhere controlling the telephones.
except of course for everyone who isn't near a telephone, which is most of the population since mobiles haven't been invented. But it could be a wave in the air. It could be a telepathic mind bugger.
I'm thinking maybe they should go there with Joe and the Brigadier.
Right.
And then the second Doctor's off dealing with something else. Maybe that there is some kind of giant computer that's phoning people up and giving them sinister messages. And that's
excellent.
Maybe there's a wave of deaths or suicides or whatever around the world. They're investigating
the
that.
Secret Vatican computer.
Yeah.
Oh, Vatipute.
Or some sinister computer somewhere, it's Boss's Revenge.
It's going to be called Christ, isn't it? It's going to be like CHRI with dots. It's not going to be called Christ at all. They're not going to call it Christ. They're going to call it Vatibot or something like that.
I've just got this picture now of them like pressing the button to switch it on. It's booting up and it's going. Big choir.
It's John DeEarth playing Vatibot, isn't it? It totally is John DeEarth. Yeah.
We've kind of created a whole new conspiracy theory here that the Vatican's had a computer since the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
It's the Antikythera mechanism.
It's a spin-off series waiting to happen. It's like Unit, but it's like the Sarah Jane Adventures. Kind of Vatibot, I need you. What is it? The Pope.
Bloody Pope, isn't it?
Pope's like Sir Curtis Serezzi in Department S. He's got his agents that are all these cardinals and shit.
Yeah.
And he communes with Vatibot and directs them to go and do stuff in the name of God. It's great. Let's make it.
The Doctor sends Joe, and I'm thinking at this point the Brigadier maybe, to investigate this gunshot that they've just heard.
Where is the brig with them then?
I can't see what the second Doctor's doing there at the moment.
Vatibot. The second Doctor's got Vatibot to deal with. This is great. No, the second Doctor's got a vastly more interesting plot going on.
Oh, okay.
And Pertwee's just reading a book.
Is there anyone else with them? Is it Joe and the brig then, or is it just Joe?
Isn't Joe with the second Doctor? Because Joe's with Nardole. I mean, Bill's with Nardole.
Yeah.
So I assume Joe and the second Doctor are dealing with Vatibot.
Well, who's he sent to deal with it? Well, the Doctor.
I don't know.
Just trying to get to grips with who's there. It's kind of in the original story. The Doctor sends Bill and Nardole off to investigate this gunshot. It's basically because he wants to be on his own.
Yeah.
Because he's got this device. It's quite a dangerous device.
Right. Yeah.
Which he's going to use to actually read the Veritas.
We don't need Vatibot, unfortunately, I think, because the second Doctor and Joe are about to get their own storyline now.
Yeah, it was just for sending the thing around the world.
It's like how do we get this text around?
Oh, we
the
do
world?
need Vatibot. Oh, good. No, fine.
Yeah.
I'm happy. Right. Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
I didn't want to lose Vatibot.
It's just we're expanding this anyway. We could separate that off, you see, and have someone dealing with that, and then carry on the Joe and whoever.
Well, maybe that's the brig. Maybe that's the brig then. Maybe the brig's dealing with Vatibot. Sounds like a Unity sort of thing.
Okay.
And Joe and therefore Troughton can play the Nardole part.
Yeah.
Which is going to be of use to us shortly.
So they find a body in a portal, and then they go through the portal and they find themselves in the Pentagon.
Yeah. I bet that's going to be a CSO background like Mrs. Farrell's kitchen.
Probably. Yeah.
It's going to be a not very American actress.
So they go back into this kind of portal area. There's lots of portals to different places, and it's all a bit strange. So while they're not there, the Doctor's, like I say, he's got this device. He's going to steal from his future, I think, to kind of so he can see in the present. And he kind of says that it's quite dangerous. He might just regenerate blind from now on.
Is this the first use of the word regenerate in Doctor Who then?
Yeah, so his vision's coming back. He's still a bit blurry. He asks Angelo to strap him to the chair because he can hear him kind of moving around in the background.
Angelo just got sucked into a wall.
He asks Angelo to move because he can hear him moving around, but it's not Angelo, it's the monks. So the Doctor asks them to strap him to a chair because he doesn't want to commit suicide straight away, but obviously it's the monks. And then when he realizes that, then he runs away. Yeah, the next we see of Joe and the second Doctor is they arrive at CERN. And the scientists there are all drinking. They've gone a bit strange, and they're about to blow themselves up.
This is going to be that nuclear power plant next to Bob Baker and Dave Martin's place, isn't it? The one that filmed the Claws of Oxos and the Hand of Fear at.
Yeah, because there's no CERN in 1973.
There's no CERN.
Yeah.
Was that the Nunton?
The Nunton, yeah.
Newton.
And Blake Seven shot there as well.
Yeah.
The BBC do good business there for a good couple of years. I think that's going to be there.
Yeah, filmed at Dungeness, quite near me. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we should go there. Let's do a pilgrimage.
I've been there a few times. It's an amazing place. It's really strange.
Let's do a Time Ram pilgrimage. Let's film something there.
It's the UK's only desert, and it's just this huge kind of flat, dead area really by the sea with it, and it's got a nice little train line. It's lovely.
Apparently, the herb that they built out of shingle to put the Axos prop on the big dome there in 1970 is still there.
I've not seen that. Yeah, I know Derek Jarman's house is there somewhere. He famously built a little sort of stone garden in his later years. So these scientists are about to blow themselves up. The Veritas has shown them the world isn't real. And the proof of this is when they try to say random numbers. And then everybody says at the same time, the same number comes out: 36, 17, 9.
End of episode 3?
103, 1 million. Yeah. Why not?
How many beans make 5?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Right, cut it out.
I don't think Joe says that.
Again, this is a concept that Moffat gets from computers. Computers don't really have random numbers; they have an algorithm that generates them. So he's kind of taken that to an extreme. But again, it's not really a very 1973 idea, is it? They're not really going to be in a computer simulation, are they? They're going to be something like the Miniscope or something like that.
Yeah, I was thinking. I don't know if either of you have seen World on a Wire. It was a German TV miniseries directed by Rainer Werner Fassbinder. Sorry to any Germans who are listening. It was basically The Matrix, sort of like in 1973.
Really?
It's about these people who are developing a sort of computer simulation, and then sort of all this weird shit keeps happening. People are disappearing, and then they realize they're actually in the simulation, and there's 3 levels of this simulation. There's a simulation within a simulation within a simulation. It's really weird.
Yeah,
it's great stuff if you can find it. World on a Wire.
It's a bit like that famous science fiction story, isn't it? The Tunnel Under the World. I can't remember who wrote it now, but the guy turns out to be sort of a tiny replica of himself living on a tabletop. And it's used for advertising.
Yeah. So it seems to me that we've got kind of precedent in 72 for this. It's we've got the android invasion, which is a simulated village being used as a training ground. I mean, this is what the monks are doing is using this as a training ground, basically, as we find out. And you've got the miniscope, you've got the simulated environments in the same year as this. Yeah. So I don't think it's completely out of the ballpark. They might fudge around the whys and wherefores, but I think it's a great episode ending. Let's just go with it.
Yeah, they might find a different way of doing it. Like, I mean, perhaps if they're all tidy, someone's found the head of a massive screw underneath the power station or something.
Let's go with it. This is working surprisingly well.
In the meantime, the doctors...
So episode 4 now, yeah?
Sorry, yeah. The doctor's getting chased by the monks. He's trying to read the Veritas on his... Well, in the original version, he's accessing the World Wide Web version because he had to leave the actual book behind. Again, we're on a shaky ground there. Maybe he's got a Vimeo copy with him.
And he's doing this on a quad bike, isn't he? He's found a quad bike, and the monks have all got quad bikes as well.
They're chasing him really slowly.
Around the Vatican.
And we've gone onto location, we're zooming around the Vatican, or a building that looks like the Vatican in England.
On a quad bike, and they're attempting not to stumble over him.
And Dudley Simpson's giving it some in the background, and it's great.
Maybe Pertwee would seize the chance of sort of being in Italy and have like a gondola chase or something.
They're not actually going to Italy for this.
No.
A gondola down the Thames. Yeah.
it would be as bad as the coal truck in the Green Death. It would be CSO horror.
While he's doing that, the others, Joe and the second doctor, are running away as the scientists set their bomb off. They get back into the kind of center there, and the second doctor, I guess, works out that they're in a simulation. And he kind of steps out of the simulation and disappears into digital static noise. That's the end of it.
Yeah.
This is the doctor. Present point, Evil of the legacy of Rassilon. Defender of the laws of time. Protector of Gallifrey.
And that's how we justify having Patrick Troughton in it. You see, it wasn't the real second Doctor, so no timeline fuckery and everything's good.
So as he's disappearing, is he kind of doing the full, oh my Gideon?
Oh yeah, no,
Kron!
oh yeah.
Oh, I'm not real.
And then Joe steps for another door and finds herself in the Oval Office in the White House.
Yeah. Who was president in 73? Ford?
It's Nixon, isn't it? Nixon.
Yeah. But they would set it in the near future there. So
yeah, they'd have
a female president or something.
Yeah, Madam President.
Yeah.
Like that's ever going to happen.
They buy Helen Mirren, but already dead, unfortunately, because they shot themselves.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, Helen can play that. That's fine. She's just, like I say, she's resting this week. But it's fine. No, I'll allow that. You know.
You're an agent now.
Yes. In time round terms, yes. Fight you for it.
So yeah, the Doctor's there. The Doctor's turned up. He's managed to find an audiobook version of the Veritas. He's had it
read by Jon Pertwee. To music
on Audible.
Yeah, so the book tells of a shadow world of shadow people, and the test of this shadow world is everyone comes out with the same random numbers.
I love the story Barry Letts told about this on the DVD. I think it was on the commentary for Extremis, obviously not long before he died, where he was saying that they did record Pertwee doing a lot of the Extremis users voiceover, but it was just too recognisable in the end of the day. It was too much like it was Jon Pertwee, and they had to cut it. And he was going, I can disguise my voice, I can do anything, me. In future, we just went, no, John, don't do that. He has a quad bike and some bishops. There you go, John.
So yeah, the aliens have simulated a version of Earth so they can practice their invasion, get it right. And the suicides are people deleting themselves from the game. So it's a simulated game.
Well, now that probably makes it all right. In 1970s terms, no one's actually really committed suicide.
No.
So yeah, we're okay, and Brucey can go ahead and do the Generation game next. It's cool.
What do you think the monks look like?
I was just going to say, what are the monks like? Yeah.
They're probably nowhere near as horrific.
I'm not a fan of them in the actual episode. I think they're too generic. They're too much like... Yeah, they're very nondescript, yeah. They're just like, it's like, oh, what should we have? Oh, they're just like these sort of creepy guys.
There'll be a John Friedlander alien, won't they? He all that season, I think.
They've all got this kind of rotted nose, but it's painfully obvious that it's kind of over the actual actor's nose. It's the least successful Moffat monster, I think.
Yeah.
They're going to be a John Friedlander 1973 season monster.
Yeah. And I don't think they'd have like sort of Hare Krishna type robes. They'd have something like really sparkly, like kind of, oh my God.
It might, yeah.
They might have masks on. Actually, they probably would have some kind of mask.
Yeah. There'll be a half mask. Actually, there'll be one of those prosthetics that allows the mouth to move. So Pertwee's happy.
Yeah.
I think all right. They'll look like a Vogan from Revenge of the Cybermen, something like that.
Yeah. Probably. Yeah.
You know, that's a Friedlander alien mask that we won't be using in context. So they look like that.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
And it's played by David Collins as well.
So yeah, one of these monks has sort of crept in behind them and deletes Job, kind of bibbles out. And then we have like quite a lengthy scene with the Doctor going, aha.
I think this would be like tuning in and tuning out. That's the analog, isn't literally the analog, actually. You know, like changing channels and trying to tune your channel that fizzle away, and that's the way you do it rather than deleting. That wouldn't be a term. You tune out. Also, it's 1973, you know.
Yeah, it'd be much more analog. Yeah.
Maybe it's called Tune Out. I know it's called Extremis, fair enough. Tune Out's a better title.
So the Doctor at this point realizes that he's not real. He's not the actual Doctor, but he's able to send this plot. He's recorded everything on his magic specs, and he's able to send this as an email to the real Doctor because although these monks have created this virtual world which to practice their invasion, they seem to have hooked it up to the actual World Wide Web. It's not so much as a firewall, and it's fine. He can just contact whoever he likes. So that's good work there. I think this invasion is going to go really, really well. Anyway, so he's managed to warn the actual Doc, who is still sat outside the Master's cell out in the real world, even as he gets deleted. Obviously, he's contacted and spread the monks' plan out to the world.
So I think what happened here is the monks got unlucky. They would have been scanned at some point very early on. They scanned an area, like the miniscope kind of basically teleports an area to the scope, miniaturizes it, leaving a bald bit of land, or the CET machine in Nightmare of Eden. They do that, but it's only a scan, and then they create, and it just happened to be really unlucky that they scanned the area that had the Time Lord in it. So it makes them not as stupid as they otherwise are.
So the real Doctor calls Joe, says there's something big coming. Or there's something big coming. But in the actual original episode, we have the actual problem that the Doctor's still blind.
Well, no, because obviously we don't in this one because it's all fake.
Yeah, so the Doctor's not actually blind.
The Doctor, as soon as we get back to real Pertwee outside the Master's cell, the Doctor's not blind anymore.
Yeah,
I mean, that's quite neat, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a shame the Master kind of turns up and then disappears out of the storyline again.
Yeah, the Master will be back later in the season.
Yeah.
He'll be back.
Yeah.
The Master will return.
Ensplinment. Well, that was all right, wasn't it? That was okay.
We've zapped through that really fast. We'd usually be on about episode 2 by this point.
Yeah.
There's not a huge amount of plot to it, which is why I didn't think that was going to take that long. I've made much fewer notes than usual. In the original episode, it is all about the atmosphere, about the dialogue, about the themes. Really. I think it is Moffat kind of ruminating. I mean, this whole thing where, he says, without hope, without witness, without reward. I kind of feel like he's talking about himself as he's kind of struggling through his 6th season of Doctor Who. That he's only doing so Chris Chibnall won't have to start a year early. He's they've kind of persuaded him to come back and do one, so we don't have a year without any Doctor Who at all. And it's like, this is me now, without hope, without witness, without reward, doing another 13 fucking episodes.
The massive bank balance might have probably, offset that. But I can imagine Pertwee really going for lines like that as well. I think this would be a tremendous Pertwee story. Actually, I think this would work really, really well. I think it would be different, and like as you say, different and sort of ruminating and slower paced and strange, and acting as a prelude that will hopefully one day be picked up in the Hartnell era. Nice guest spot from Patrick Troughton that beautifully enough doesn't actually matter. I think this would be a classic. Surprisingly, I thought it would be a complete waste of time. I thought it was going to be an absolute disaster as soon as we got because Extremis is part of a story, but no, it's worked out really well.
I can't quite see them doing it in the 70s. I mean, it's such a non-traditional story structure. It's the kind of thing that Moffat specialises in. I wouldn't imagine Barry Letts thinking of this, but it would be interesting, because
I think they did kind of start off doing quite odd, unusual ideas at the beginning of the Pertwee era in season 7, and then they kind of fell into a bit of a pattern of the kind of alien invasion stories, and they kind of stuck with that. But they did start off doing quite strange stuff, I think.
Well, that was my thinking. I originally thought to myself, conceptually, this is season 7. But
there's no way. You can't string it out 7 episodes.
No, absolutely not. So quite. That ain't happening. For a start, and also it just seemed to fit more. And then like I say, watching Nardella around, I was going, that's Trout, and therefore this is season 10, and it's an anniversary, thing. Well, that was incredibly efficient. Shall I roll the numbers for next time?
Okay.
Yes.
Our Doctor. 10.
10.
Oh,
10.
It's a new one.
Hey. And it's story 232. Is that a tenant?
It might be.
We might.
No, it isn't actually. No, it's later than tenant. 232. Hang on. Is 232 is the Bells of St. John.
That's going to be incredibly easy.
Yes.
That isn't even worth doing. Should we bother turning up next time? To listen to Baz reading out what happens in the story without any changes at all, apart from character names? Wow. Is this kind of time around making up for A Good Man Goes to War?
Well, we'll have to try and find a way of,
making that interesting.
What is different, I mean, it's a Russell T Davies era instead of Moffat era. I don't know what to do. Yeah.
Wow.
You're potentially talking like 2 or 3 years later, really, aren't you?
Yeah. This is the closest we've ever had.
I did think this would be like if we got, say, a 6th Doctor story for a 5th Doctor or something like that. You wouldn't.
Yeah.
Indeed.
You wouldn't be changing much.
Indeed.
Perhaps that's a challenge in itself. I don't know.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us once again. Thank you, Mr. Williams, and thank you also, Mr. Ferry.
Yes. Hello. Goodbye. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Maybe it is a half-word Who knows? Join us next time for the amazing mashup of David Tennant in The Bells of St. John. Bye.
You have been listening to Time Ram, a Doctor Who podcast. You can follow the show on Twitter by going to @RupertBooth, at @FastTimeRam or @PaulFerry8. There is a page on Facebook and a website at timeram.com. You can email a message to info@timeram.com, or if you wish to support the show, search for Time Ram on Patreon, where you can earn lots of extra goodies. Another way to support the show is to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you download your podcasts from. My name is Joanne, and your regular hosts have been Rupert Booth, Paul Ferry, and Barry Williams. I've had all of them. Good night.
In this special bonus section, we're joined by Adam Manning, paying tribute to one of television's greats.
For me, the last detective, they don't stand for me unless there's nobody else left.
You will come with me.
Where are you?
Mortimer wasn't in the least interested in laser beams. All he wanted to do was to annoy the horse, Katie Daly, so much that she would break into a gallop. And here's great Uncle Bulgaria. But there's someone missing.
Having seen the Dalek films as a kid and having grown up in the 70s with Bernard Cribbins, being there always, he's like the walls, he's part of your house, and then, you know, he isn't anymore.
Yeah, I mean, he was just a constant feature of, I think, all our childhoods, and the Wombles and Jack and Oi and all those other things. And he's still now for little kids today. He's got old Jack's boat.
Yeah.
He's been absolutely pan-generational, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's like Doctor Who. You know, you can talk to kids nowadays, not that I read, ever do, and they know about Doctor Who. And they talk about it in the same way that we did when we were kids.
Just at the weekend there, I watched Dangerous Davies, The Last Detective for the first time in years with Bernard Cribbins.
I haven't seen it.
It's a sort of detective story. It's the same thing that was The Last Detective. They made a series with Peter Davison. It's based on the same books, but Bernard Cribbins is the detective. And it's got like comedy elements to it. There's this quite a dark story at the center of it about this murder, and he's really excellent in it in a 90% straight role.
He was a really good actor. He was really good. I mean, look at The End of Time. He's amazing in that. He's amazing in it. As a tenant, I was stunned by seeing him in things like that. By seeing him in The End of Time, actually.
Yeah.
I was absolutely blown away. Going, fucking hell, Bernard Cribbins, you're up there with the greats, the proper, you know, the actors.
Yeah.
His character, though, in Dalek's Invasion, he's a Bobby on the beat.
Yeah.
Then he somehow walks into the TARDIS, which is bigger on the inside than the outside. Barely, kind of maybe a gorp or two, but then he's ready and dealing with the situation. Yeah. Then they go forward in time to an apocalypse, and he's there, straightens his uniform out. He's ready for action.
Yeah.
He's got to help save the Earth from alien invaders, does all that, and then they go back in time just a minute after where it dropped off, and he's out there arresting the criminals.
These are the characters that we all looked up to as kids. These were our role models. And I was basically a Superman. He was just taken on board like Roy Castle.
Yeah. Take anything in stride whatsoever. Just carry on, smile on their face.
Thank you for that amazing experience.
Thank you, Doctor. And off he goes to collar those criminals.
He's giggling. He's giggling away
at the end because he's met those two criminals. Yeah. I'm up for Inspector now. After seeing the future of humanity and billions of people wiped out in apocalypse, he's giggling away to himself on the way back to the police headquarters.
Diddly-ling, ding.
No, there's something about Bernard Cribbins that just, none of it seems surprising.
You go with it.
Just, whatever the world, whatever the world throws at you, kids, just keep giggling.
Yeah.
He's in the Hammer version of Rider Haggard's She as well, isn't he?
Yes, I have never seen that either. I don't want to. No, I've
seen it a long time ago.
Of course, I've seen it because Ursula Andress. Yeah.
that sticks in the mind for some inexplicable reason.
It's a thing that used to be on the TV a lot when we were kids.
Yeah, very successful
Incredible.
actor. It was
Great storyteller.
Yeah,
Great storyteller.
yes.
That's all acting is at the end of the day, telling a story, and he did it with extraordinary talent.
Yeah.
Without even noticing, like all the best actors do, you don't notice their acting, you don't notice the work they put in. You're just going with the story, you're just believing in them.
Draw the audience in spellbound.
Everyone's granddad, they said on Twitter. Blimey, everybody was everyone's dad.
Yeah.
I like that story that Russell T Davies told, where he said Russell contacted him, said, "Do you want to be in A Midsummer's Dream?" And he said, "I want to see the script."
The script first. Yeah, genius. As an off-the-cuff response, that's just fantastic. I like to think I'm quite good at off-the-cuff, but no, that's way ahead.
Next level.
Yeah. Did you see there was a postcard that was posted that he'd given to Lionel? God, I keep trying to say Lionel Richie, which isn't correct. Railway Children.
Jeffries.
Oh, yeah.
Lionel Jeffries, saying thank you basically, but what he signed it as, it's a photo of Lionel Jeffries shouting at Bernard Crimmins' character, and he just put a speech bubble going, right, fuck off my film, bye. Great love, Bernard, and I just great, lovely. The world is diminished, as it is with all passings.